The reason I wanted to emulate games is that, like around 2014 or 15, I
Ito
just
may
people
nandun.
started playing Pokemon, a lot of Pokemon games. So yeah,
Yeah,
we
I mean,
started to yeah. So
yeah,
me and my
yeah.
friends wanted to like play some Game Boy Advance games. So we just emulated using some emulators. So basically, the games which we are playing are ROM hacks. Basically, you just break in the code and make it able to be played on other devices, as Tori said. I mean, as hopefully audience said. All right.
Yeah, I
So
mean, let's see, what emulation basically is so it's a
you're trying to
computer
emulate
system.
a computer.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, like emulating if you go
Imitating.
by normal definition, if you go by normal definition of what emulation is, like in English, it
Yeah.
just say effort to match or surpass a person or achievement. Like if I just say I want to emulate whatever some person has done in my own career or something like that. Similarly, in this context, in computer emulation, basically completely emulating a previous system or whatever other systems, existing systems, in a system which it does not contain. And
Yeah. Okay. You can just
you
stop.
can
You
call
can
it like
stop
a
reading online
you can
sources.
call it like a you know mirroring. That's another term which you can put. But yeah, I mean
You
that
can
was
also use that, and if like to give an example of how at least the first time I used an emulator, or the first time when I heard of the word emulator was remember when like PUBG was a thing, right? Like 2018,
yeah.
like just
Player
before
unknowns
lockdown and all.
battlegrounds.
So
Player
I
unknowns battlegrounds. Truly one of
yes,
the
yes,
games of all time.
indeed, it was one of the games of all time. So basically, I think obviously PUBG Mobile was more in fashion over here in India than PC, obviously, because who's gonna pay fucking 1,000 rupees and
I mean, first you need
like
to have
with a
a
32 and yeah, you need to have
system
like a high,
which runs.
you need to have a high end gaming setup, and it why PUBG Mobile was why PUBG Mobile became so famous was like obviously because everyone could access it and it was free and everyone could play it. So yeah, I think I had to go, I think over here in Pune, I had gone to some like not cyber cafe, but it's like a gaming area. So where you can pay and you are able to play. It's like what you get in Hakkon and all that in Mumbai, if you remember. So
Yeah,
so over there, that
basically
was
an
that
internet
place.
cafe.
Yeah, kind of. So that's where I first heard of an emulator. So you were able to play PUBG Mobile on your PC. And to be honest, I'm at that time when I used to actually game, I was more of a PC player than a mobile player, and I used to suck at mobile. So PUBG Mobile wasn't really my thing. But when I started playing on PC, it was much easier to play and much easier to actually use the mechanics in there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was like the first time. That was like the first time I actually heard of emulators. Didn't really think about it after that much, but yeah, just to like give an example, this is like the easiest one I could think of.
Yeah, so the first time I used emulator was like back when PUBG was popular only. Like all my friends were playing PUBG, but for PUBG Mobile, but I didn't had the hardware in the mobile to run the game. So I used the emulator in my PC to run the game, and it worked fine.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
what the good thing the one good thing about emulator is that it's not just subject to a particular OS or like just trying to use Windows XP or Windows Vista applications and running them in Windows 10 or just running Linux application in Windows. You can also use like for different hardware for like different ROM types. You can use Word. You can use
the
like
ROM
15, 20 year
styles.
old printers.
Oh,
You
that is
can use
correct.
them. You can use
Okay.
laser. You can use if you have like the correct hardware devices. You
That is
can use
correct.
laser
Correct.
printing in that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that is basically what data sets and other stuff also comes in, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly. But it's like it's
it
so
becomes
interesting
yeah.
to.
This is I mean this is where where emulation and simulation becomes a bit, the
Yeah,
line
it's
between
a
them becomes a
thin
bit
line. It's
blurry.
a thin. It becomes a bit thin as well. Like you can't really
But
kind of
we can say
you can't
simulation
really differentiate
obviously
between.
has some uh, proper differentiation. Like computer simulation will be like modeling. In this emulation, we don't have that high-end modeling. Like key mapping and etc. is not that available over here compared to what we have in simulation.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
And I think right now the best emulation where emulation has reached its peak is in video game consoles. I think we can all agree on that. Like, especially the amount of Nintendo consoles. Hopefully, they don't copyright strike us in this. But yeah, the amount of
You're asking for a
Nintendo
lot.
consoles which is consoles which has been emulated is a huge thing. Like, I mean, right now, uh, Dolphin is there. Obviously, as Rune explained, Game Boy is there. Game Boy games are also there. Like all those, but the hard part is not only you need to emulate the hardware, but to run the game you need to emulate the software as well, like the entire game trace and etc. So
Yeah, I mean that's
yeah,
that's true. The one like for a normal person, for someone who's not in more like in the computer development or not the IT but more like the in the game development field, for them accessing video games nowadays using emulators has become much more easy. And obviously, given the amount of resources you have online and the different areas, like the different sources from where you can get these emulators, they have increased a lot. So it's comparatively much easier to get an emulator now and basically play a PS5 game on your PC, it has become really easy. But now what happens is that for the game devs, it is quite a loss because they are not earning as much as what they would. Like they kind of face a loss in a way, not a
When will this
literal
new
monetary
emulator
loss, but a
PS5?
sort of sorry.
Is there an emulator for PS5 right now?
I don't
No,
think so right now.
no, and it
Not
will be
yet,
difficult
but
to
there
get an
eventually
emulator
will
for
be. I mean,
PS5. No, it will take some time because they are still working on a PS3 emulator and PS2 emulator. See, the problem with emulating is that you're basically trying to, emulate the whole system. So basically, you're trying to run a computer within a computer, and it will take a lot
Exactly.
of processing power. So let's say if I want to emulate a Nintendo Switch, all right. So I'll basically try to imitate the whole BIOS of Nintendo Switch. In that, doing that, I'll also try to make it able to run within my computer. So when I'm doing this process, I have to like distribute the CPU usage between the emulator and with my computer. So they are synced
Not only
together.
that,
Otherwise, there might be a memory loss or something
not only
happening.
that, not only that, it's highly GPU intensive also,
Yeah,
especially for a laptop or PC.
yeah,
In that case, it becomes GPU intensive. I mean, maybe not the old emulators, but the current emulators like for Nintendo Switch or the recent in news we saw how the Dolphin emulator, which is a Wii emulator, and that is also GPU intensive because you are taking a home console and emulating it compared to the handheld consoles. In handheld consoles, you don't need to have that much processing, and given like these handheld consoles like Game Boy and etc. have become pretty old, and our devices are right now as technology improves, it has become quite stable. Maybe in future as time goes on, well, maybe even the PCs can handle them. And yeah, GPU intensive work. It does take a lot of space, and not only that, while downloading, if you download the wrong ROM, we are going to get viruses and etc. So
Yeah, I mean
safety issues
that
are
is
some other
true.
thing.
Safety
That's one
issues,
of the
and there are a
problem
lot
with
of
emulating. See, as a Fortune podcast said that we are basically trying to support piracy, yes, because when we are emulating, we don't exactly have the software to play the game, right? So that's one of the reasons we are emulating the game. And when you have emulated the software or the component, basically, let's again take the example of Switch. You need the cartridge to play the game or the this whatever the Switch has, right? So instead of like going and buying it, people will simply just download the software from somewhere, which is basically trying to promote piracy. And that's one of the reasons why Nintendo is uh, you know, very closed market. I mean, that's my
No,
take on Nintendo
the,
always.
another there was a statistics which I read recently. I think by IGN. I'm not sure, but they gave that uh, just 17% of games from 2000 or at least 2010 or behind are available right now on the market, like 20-17% or so, which is really less comparatively. Another thing is IP change and etc. That's also another thing which we need to see. Like or 13% of 13% of video game released before 2010 are commercially available. Like you can see the ratio, like, where 13% and other something around 87%. It's 87% of the video games have already gone. And obviously, PS2 right now shut down recently, only I think 1 year ago or somewhere. PS2 also shut down, they said. So half of the exclusive games must have also gone. Overall, emulation does bring a more opportunity, more opening towards gaming industry, but it also has its cons, like as I say, IP change and tender. I think it can be tackled by giving out tenders. That is one thing which I think. Like in emulation as a whole, like not only it will provide more employment opportunity, but if you give it out as a tender, the mod community will keep the game running for a long time. Like I think you mentioned one of the game Baldur's Gate that is still be run by the mod community.
yeah, I mean that is true. Also, since there's like a high GPU usage and just like overall, it takes quite a load on the PC itself. It does cause, like, in theory you can say it does cause a problem, but nowadays what happens is that, especially overall, like globally, there is a huge rise in streaming, like live streaming, and like just buying high-end PCs or like buying high-end systems for either playing in, trying to compete in esports, or even just trying to live stream anywhere, may it be on YouTube or may it be on Twitch or any other streaming platform. So what happens is that people buy all these latest GPUs. They buy our RTXs, they buy our Nvidia, they buy our AMDs. So what happens is that then what happens is, like, you kind of are able to afford an emulator much more than what a normal person with a laptop would just be able to use. So what happens is it kind of creates a profit for the hardware, the ones who sell these types of hardware, and it kind of like ends up creating a loss for the gaming industry in general. Like, it may not be monetary, but it does cause quite a problem for them as well.
Yeah, but now let's take this into consideration. Like commercially unavailable games, and not even the system is not available right now. Like no one has uh, GameCube right now in their homes. Let's be honest. I'm pretty sure It's not there in the market as well, commercially so by Nintendo at least. So when it comes to that stage, and you want to play, okay, let's take another example, Nintendo 64. So N64 has probably one of the best games of all time. First of the release of Super Smash Brothers, and even best rated game in Metacritic, Ocarina of Time. I'm pretty sure everyone knows about it. So when these kind of games, which is very well valued and etc., when you try to emulate them, not only does it give reproducibility value, but also it gives the experience of gaming before as a whole. That's one thing we can say on. And not only that, the player base and etc. will also improve for a particular gaming IP thing. That's how it goes.
Yeah, I mean that part is true, and it does kind of help people who cannot even afford certain games. Like suppose you want to play like a FIFA, or you want to even play something like God of War or something. I have seen especially around me. I have seen so many people who want to even if you take the PS4 Spider-Man for that matter, like people don't have, like people, there are many PS4s and now PS5s and even PS3s or PS2s, but people normally they like prefer a PC setup rather than a console setup. At least from that's from what I've seen over here. So most of these games that people want to play, these console games, they're not available on PC. So it does create a bit of a problem. Kind of like they kind of have that like the feeling of missing out among their group. They're like, oh, I actually played God of War. Oh, I played Sekiro. I played this. I played that.
Yeah, I mean
But then exactly, like what happens is that for us who don't have that feeling, like it's easy to say, okay, yeah, so what's the big deal in that? But obviously, we cannot treat everyone like us. And
yeah,
there are people who do feel that inferiority complex, who feel, oh, even I should try that. So people they end up using emulators, and they just either end up screwing up their own like miniature setup, or they might be having a huge setup, but it does take a lot of time. It's quite because even using an emulator, like the high-end emulators especially, it is quite tedious.
oh,
So
well,
yeah,
I
I
was
mean it.
saying that,
Yeah,
yeah, I was supposed to say that, as you were implying that people don't have games, and so they are trying to emulate the other systems game, right? So, I mean, in that same context, I'm trying to say that, games in the West is more accessible than games in the East. I mean, games coming from Japan, to be specific.
Yeah, I
So,
yeah,
mean,
that's also another thing. It also depends on region as well. Like
yeah,
if you're trying to emulate a Japanese game, it's comparatively harder to do that than trying to emulate a Western game. So yeah,
yeah,
that's
it
true.
does depend on region as
Because
well.
because right now Western market of gamings have improved so much that it's everywhere in the same time as well. But right now, recently, at least in the past 5 years, Nintendo has been able to put out titles globally in the same time as well. I think
Yeah,
with
I
the
mean
release of
that's also true.
Switch, they have changed a lot of things. I think Switch overall changed a lot of the Nintendo titles and console exclusives as a whole itself. Like it opened up a lot. And another thing, emulation have a lot of impact as well in gaming industry right now. Like let's just say console exclusives, like as you mentioned, Spider-Man of PS4. Now Sony released, even though it was released as an exclusive, they got a PC compatibility. into it. I think it's because of
Yeah, because it's better that it's better that Sony do it themselves rather than some third party
yeah,
pirate app just trying to give it to users for free. Because
yeah.
otherwise
That's true.
they won't be able to gain a profit either on that. See, basically,
That's
see,
the thing. No, this goes back to the original point which I told. Like, why not tender it out or do computer compatibility or something like that?
yeah.
And that also comes as emulation at the end of the day. And I think if you guys remember in hardware emulation back in the day, there used to be a console of Bitashi.
I don't remember. Like, see, to be honest, I don't know much about like the video game industry as much, so won't be won't have much knowledge. But yeah, like I can say from like a since I'm from like a software background, so I can say like okay, yeah, emulators can do this, emulators can do that. But I think video game industry, like yeah, it does cause quite a ripple effect as well. But
Yeah,
now
as you said.
at least these industries are preparing countermeasures. So like they will find a way eventually.
Yeah,
They're
say
now
for
as you
this
said
Bitashi
right.
console.
Sony so now as you said right, Sony is making a PC version of the PS4 Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean
So
that's not emulation. They're basically porting the game. Okay, yeah, this brings in another thing.
no, I'm not talking about that. Like Sony are preparing countermeasures for emulation because emulation for them is a loss making technology.
I don't think they are making a countermeasure.
Yeah, I
Rather,
mean they're
it's
basically competing with Xbox.
yeah, and giving out basically opening up the market
Yeah,
as a whole.
I mean that's a better
Overall,
practice
it
than
does impact.
locking away the market. That's what Nintendo does. Because Nintendo
Yeah,
basically locks away the market after the console is out of date. Unlike
exactly.
Sony has started to practice the idea of Xbox because through the initial days of Xbox only they started porting the games to the PC console, uh, PC system. All right, so
Yeah,
yeah, I mean this is basically a form of competing with Xbox. That's not a countermeasure for emulation. I believe the countermeasure for emulation will be a more stricter policy in game codex itself because
and backward compatibilities. I
yeah,
think that would be one thing which would emulation would make an impact. I think in
yeah,
hardware, if you remember about Hitachi, as I said,
yeah,
it used to be the emulation hardware. It used to be actual console itself.
yeah, Famicom clones, right?
Yeah, I think it used to run Nintendo games as usual, and even Sega games. It was another the other emulated software was the Genesis itself. It had
Yeah.
so Sonic games or any Sega Genesis game, it used to run as well. That's another huge thing. So I think regardless of how we are saying online emulation is pirating or stuff,
See,
we can
in my
also say
opinion,
it's
the most of the games are emulated based on the Nintendo console itself because the only console which tries to lock away its market is Nintendo. Otherwise, most of the other console games they're readily available. If you want to play let's say a PS2 game or a PS game, you can easily go to a game, a cyber cafe and ask for a system to play on. But getting a Nintendo game, because since they are generational games, it's very difficult.
yeah. Not only that, it's exclusives also. So
Yeah.
it's going to be hard. And I think this is where I think emulation is a huge pro, like hardware emulation of what do you call
Oh yeah, and
joysticks.
it also unlocks the game, game internal, basically widescreen support, better
Exactly,
graphics. Yeah.
exactly. The performance of the game. Let's just say we'll take the example of Switch itself. Right now, Nintendo released Tears of Kingdom, probably their home run of a game, and their game. I think it is going to be game of the year, regardless of what it is.
Okay.
Switch is a console which released outdated, but because of emulation, we can we can see how Tears of Kingdom has better performance in the emulated version and better gameplay and game user compared to how you play in a Switch as well.
Yeah, I mean, not just Switch, like even some of the outdated technologies that you have, like you have your Windows 99, you have even your PS2s. Like these technologies also are kind of like making a not a comeback, but they're they're kind of being more relevant again. They're like because
Uh,
their systems are being like because they're the programs that were being run on these systems, they are being able to run using emulation. So it
I
is kind
believe
of
your mic
helping.
is not working properly.
Okay, wait. How about now?
No, it's not.
No, it's still. I think you need to emulate your mic.
Yeah,
What about this?
stick in your penis
Yeah, no,
only.
no better. No
Yeah,
better.
Yeah, okay. I think it's because of distance.
Hello. Yeah, I need to
Yeah,
go.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
you were not
so
might
I
be.
working
think
anyways,
I
but
think the we can say like yeah, this is where I think we can conclude on what emulation is. Hardware emulation is something which is gives a huge pro and reproduction value. Not only that, it gives
yeah.
monetary
And
benefits
I
as well.
mean,
Yeah, obviously, like everything has their pros and cons, and like even see, even if you make an emulator for a certain OS or a certain like a technology, it should work on the system as well. Like you're making it for the software, but you need to consider the hardware as well. Because if you have like low end specs, if you have like low end specifications and you're running it on like a Windows 10 or like a PS5, but you don't have the required specifications, it's there's no point in
Yeah, you're
making the
killing.
emulator.
Yeah, there is no point in
Yeah,
emulation.
you're just
And
you're
I
just
think
going into overkill. You're just killing the system.
right now, emulation is best used for preservation. That's one thing we can agree on. And
yeah,
other
that is.
is
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah, that and actually one then see you can another like like a solution to the hardware problem, as I like mentioned earlier in the video, is you have hardware emulator as well. It's not just software. You can use like hardware. It depends on the RAM and the required ROM. Like right now the hardware though it's more being used in printers or scanners, but you can like it's slowly being incorporated into PCs as well. So yeah, the development will happen, but it will take time.
okay. Yeah, well, as you said, emulation is good for preservation, and I believe that emulating games who are like which came before 2000s is is fine in my opinion, rather than emulating games which came after 2000s, or because you're simply pirating the game which came because they are more relevant to the current era of systems, right? And
Yeah, and also it's also the compatibility, right, with the
yeah,
current software as well. Like
yeah,
you if you're trying to play something like Snake 3D or even Contra, if you're trying to play it on Windows 11, it's not like without using an emulator, it's not really going to work, or it's not going to perform to its fullest.
Yeah. So I think we can wrap it up by saying, yeah,
yeah.
future there is going to be a lot of emulation in future as well
Okay,
because
so yeah,
technology improves.
should all of us say thank you in three, two, one?
No,
No,
no, no.
no.
Okay.
There's not
What are you
presentation.
like doing a presentation or something?
Okay, yeah. I mean, Ananta has to say
Do
something,
do you
right?
want us? Do you want us all
Dude,
to
I don't
virtually
really.
hold hands and just bow?
You can just talk about yourself, Ananta. You are an emulation of your former self.
Yeah,
My man must be lost.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's trying to comply,
Yeah, I'm not
come
surprised.
with this
Yeah,
situation.
it is like
So
very select people will actually understand everything about what we're talking about. So I'm
yeah,
not surprised.
it's sad. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we'll start with Apollo. It's been your boy who can here,
No, no,
and
please be anything but cringe. Please be anything but cringe.
hey, come on. I mean, that's a good.
I
Well,
see. We do not want to end up being like 99% of YouTubers. Yeah,
it's
I said
still
it on the
okay. I mean,
record. On
it's
the record, I said it. Yeah, fuck you,
Yeah,
YouTubers. I said it on
next
the record.
yeah,
and next day you see this guy's wearing YouTube T-shirt and making YouTube videos in front of India Gate.
Yeah, and see, after like a week or so, you might be getting an apology video from me.
We will be there. We'll be there. We'll be making an apology, denoting podcast apology.
Yeah,
That's
Yes,
the title.
we'll just make a
Yeah.
30-minute apology video, but we'll actually discuss about it.
yeah. We'll discuss about the ball.
Yeah, we'll discuss on how to apologize.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, you
And
have to
exactly.
yeah,
Like
apologize.
I
just
mean,
keep.
we will start with I made a severe and continuous slaps in my church. I think that's
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
amazing,
just
amazing start to the podcast.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, fine,
yeah,
it's fine. I guess. Oh, I don't know what to say. All right.
yeah. I think we
Yeah, just
yeah. I think
thank you for
the
watching.
podcast
Thank
is
you for
over.
watching this
Thank
video.
you for
If you have
watching.
if you have even made
Oh,
it,
oh, oh, oh.
even if you have somehow made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching. And I won't tell you to like, share, subscribe because that's also cringe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
But
mean,
yeah, if you want to do
please
it,
please
you
hit the
can
imply.
do
bell
it.
though. I mean, please hit the bell. Yeah, I don't know
No,
why
please
you
don't.
hit the bell. Go to somewhere, hit the bell. I
Ask your
guess.
mom
No,
to
I
hit the
don't know
bell.
why you even
No,
subscribed in the
no,
first
no,
place.
no, 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 yo, yeah,
Your
yeah.
mom.
Yeah, but then we'll
Okay,
also,
listen.
if you want to join our Discord server, you can.
Yeah, we'll
Basically,
leave
there's
the
no one
link
over
The
there, so you'll get bored.
links in the
Yeah,
no, yeah, links in the description
description.
below.
Yeah,
yeah. Don't worry, no one is there for now, so
Don't
you'll be
yeah.
alone. You'll be alone,
yeah,
just
and we
talking
are
to
amateurs.
yourself and your inner
Yeah,
voices, or
Yeah,
maybe dank memer.
oh yeah, and we are
yeah.
amateurs.
Wait.
We make amateur porn videos with your mom. You can join us.
No, leave that to leave that
Why
to
no?
him. Leave that to him.
I'm out of this. I'm out of
No,
this.
leave that to Rule
I'm
to do that.
be sure to check her check Raid Syndicate's YouTube
Yeah, all
channel.
right,
He makes
fine.
some quality football content. Not only that, I
Porn
make
was
some
yeah,
video game content. So yeah,
Yes,
and
and
Rule
last but
makes
not
good
least,
soup.
yes, and last but not least, hopefully we are more consistent from now on. That
Hopefully,
hope is also,
but we will
if
come.
you see our
Yeah,
YouTube
we
channel
will come.
history, you see that hope is a very big thing.
Yeah. We will try and make CS:GO videos. Try.
What? Why?
This is CS:GO channel. Let's be honest.
You're no, it's not anymore. We
Emulate
can talk about CS:GO, but we are not gonna
1.6.
play
We
CS:GO.
will emulate CS 1.6, I guess. CS2 is
yeah.
anyway
Please,
releasing. We'll
please,
be there.
if
We
you have
will
somehow
make.
made till this part of the video as well, do not listen to him. He's just chatting shit.
No.
Okay, yeah.
CS2 is anyway coming. We'll be there. And CS
Okay, yeah.
1.6
Bye.
is
Thank you.
something we'll emulate. Yes. Bye.
Bye. Thank
See
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.